everybody. Welcome to the book review for the month of March. We're reviewing the book titled People Skills for Christians by Tony Munson. And the book is divided into two parts. The first part is from chapter 1 to 12, and the second part is from chapter 13 to 25. So the first part is basically laying the foundation, and the second part is for practical applications. And so the introduction for the book just explains to us how important it is for us to have good people skills in order to retain people in church and also to get new members to come in. Besides that, it is very paramount in our everyday life, and for us to thrive as children of God, we need to master these skills. So I'll go into chapter 1 real quick. And the title for chapter 1 really is The Huge Opportunity Available to Us. And chapter 1 really just breaks down how paramount people are to our development, how important people are in our lives. People are the gatekeepers to our opportunities, and we cannot afford to burn bridges. God put people in our lives to accomplish certain goals, and He puts us in other people's lives to accomplish goals as well. And we have the opportunity tree, because think about it, your current position in life right now, how did you get there? For me, for example, out of university, met a total stranger, gave me an opportunity just because we were in same vicinity, and even after that, met somebody else, gave me another opportunity. Like that. That's what you mean by your opportunity tree. If you have very limited people in your surroundings, or the quality of people around you, they're not that quality, you need to change your crowd. You need to guard your environment, your community. You need to build a proper opportunity tree, and then somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that is a friend of somebody else, and that is how you grow your network. And if your branches on that tree are not that long, or where you currently are, even the people in your immediate surrounding are of little or no benefit to you at all, it shows a bad sign. You should actively and intentionally seek to have a better opportunity tree. You should have a better surrounding. You should have better people around you. That is what this particular chapter is telling us, that we should bank on the opportunity tree that we have to network with appropriate people and guide ourselves. And we should limit the kind of negative influence we have to ourselves, that we expose ourselves to. We should try to make sure that the kind of people we have around us, the kind of things we take in, are edifying things that help us to grow better, things that moves us higher in life. So that is what chapter 1 tells us, that the huge opportunity that is available to us are people. And then higher engagement will produce better results. We need to intentionally, actively engage with people, because if everybody keeps praying and saying it will sort itself out, then we will do the work. Faith without work is dead. Faith without work is dead. We should go out there boldly and bring people into the fold, not be judgmental. Just connect with people genuinely. Be genuine in your interest in people. So I move to chapter 2, which is titled, You and God Are a Team. And best believe, God always does His own end. He always comes through. God always fulfills His own obligations, His own duties to us, because He loves us. He never fails. We just have to step up to meet Him at least halfway. And then on top of that, endure, be patient, have self-control, have godly affection, love on top of our faith. Faith is not enough. We have to go the extra mile. And then understand that when we walk with God, great things happen. We have to have total faith and not just say, I walk with God. How do you show you walk with God? When you're solid, you're immovable and unshakable. You know it for a fact. No lies can taint the truth of the gospel that you know. So if you're working with God, really, you have to trust and obey God. You can't say I walk with God and then you're still trying to find the solutions on your own. It doesn't work that way. You need to have total trust in God and move with Him. So I'll see you for chapter 3 and 4 next. Have a lovely day. Hi. Welcome to the review for chapter 3 and 4 for the book of the month. by Tony Munson, which is People Skills for Christians. So the title for chapter 3 is How We Get Results. And the author mentioned that the earlier we catch mistakes or errors, the cheaper they are to correct. He gave an example of being a software developer, and if you catch errors before you send it to testers, it's much more cost efficient. You'd pay really cheap to get it fixed. If the testers get the errors, you're going to pay them much more. If you launch the software and it's to the masses and it's users that catch the errors, the disaster is going to be monumental. So the faster you get results or you get errors, the faster you realize your errors and the sooner you correct them, the cheaper it will be on you. Because if you wait too long, the results might be massive and really expensive for you to correct. So he gave us a formula of 4 steps to follow in how to get results. And the first one is what we see, hear, and read. So it says what we see, hear, and read. So we need to guard ourselves. I remember, for example, in my life, whenever I'm watching the news and I see some gory images, I literally run from them. And my husband is always worried, thinking, why are you so? I'm like, I know myself. I would think on it all night. I get bothered by other people suffering a lot. But you're imposing depression, fear, worry on yourself by not guarding yourself, the things you have access to. Nobody's saying you shouldn't listen to the news or read magazines or things, but this, you can filter these things, because you can't just open yourself to all sorts of information which weakens your faith, because God hasn't given us a spirit of fear. He has given us a spirit of fear. So we shouldn't allow all these gory things to undermine the faith we have in God and the word of God that gives all these wonderful promises. So we need to guard ourselves. And he is even the author disconnected from his own cable. You don't have to go that extreme, but whatever works for you, just make sure whatever you're consuming isn't depressing you, whatever you're consuming isn't increasing your worry, isn't making you doubt God or lose faith in fellow human beings. And then the second formula he gave is what we think about and believe. So what is it that you're thinking about? What is it that you believe? By the time you consume this information over time, they become truth for you. Instead of doing that, why don't you replace that with the word of God? Turn off the news for 30 minutes in a day and read the Bible. Reaffirm the beautiful, wonderful promises that God has given to us. What you think and believe really, really, really does matter. And then the third one is what you do and what you say. It's not enough to just think and believe. Oh, I believe in God. What do you say? What do you confess with your mouth? There is power in the word was made flesh. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. There is power in the things God says, and we're made in the image of God. We should watch for the things we say as well. Let us not confess bad things unto ourselves and our families or unto other people, because the more you say it, you're giving it power, and then you are believing it the more. You're believing the more. So whatever, guard the things you say, guard your mouth. Watch the things that come out of your mouth. And then the fourth formula is our results. Do not grow weary. If you do not see the effort of your hard work, of watching the things you read, watching the things you hear, filtering all these things, and you're doing everything, but things aren't still looking up, give it time. Patience is a virtue, and in due time you will reap the harvest of your wonderful toil of just patiently keeping on, because you don't plant a seed and grow it and just harvest it overnight. You give it time. It's doing its work. You just hang in there, you will get your results. So on to chapter 4, and the title for chapter 4 is The Thought Life Determines Your Reality. The chapter needed thinking, needed a chapter of its own. So yeah, the thought life determines your reality. And what that really is about is your body cannot go where your mind has not been. Just take a minute to digest that. Your body cannot go where your mind has not been. So we need to take our time to truly reflect, to truly reflect on what we bring in into our homes, what we bring in into our bodies. Our bodies are the temple of God, from the tip of our head to our toes. We need to just take away anything that makes us feel inadequate. Just watch what you think about, what the kind of people you have around you. Are they the kind of people that put you down? They don't tell you the truth, or you just feel weary and downcast all the time. These things are not edifying. They're not good for you. And imagine being locked in a prison, but that prison is actually your mind. Do not believe the lies that you can't be anything, things you've heard when you were a child. These things are hard to let go of, but you need to guard your mind. And the best way to do that, really, because if you have, the author mentioned, you're making I don't know, a cup of tea or something, and it's too dark. You keep pouring milk in it. Just see until it gets as light as you want, until it's all milky. That is how the word of God is. You can't really get rid of the bad things just like that from your mind, but the more you consume the word of God, that becomes your truth, and nothing can take it away from you. So let us reinforce ourselves with the truth, which is the word of God. See you for chapters 5 and 6. Bye. Hello everybody, welcome to the review for chapter 5 and 6. The title for chapter 5 is The Power of Do, and title for chapter 6 is People Are Predictable. Now for chapter 5, The Power of Do. The author mentioned that not doing something with what you know is equivalent to not knowing it. If you have an information and you refuse to do anything with that information, it's equivalent or the same as not even having that information in the first place. And it is paramount to act. It is very important to act. Look at the parable of the servants that were given talents to. The one that had to made use of it, the one that had one went to go and bury it, and at the end of the day, the one that had one, that one he had that he buried was taken away from him and given to even that one that multiplied his own, that invested his own. God expects us to invest what he has given to us. If he's given us one thing and we haven't accomplished anything with it, why are we expecting him to give us more? We can't handle one task and we want more blessings, because God doesn't just bless us for our sakes. He expects us to act with those things he has given to us. And a lot of us have a misconception about that and just accept I want. Once you get it, there's a huge responsibility on you to make use of it, make appropriate use of it to the glory of God. And we just need to rely on God for help in this area, really, because that step, that extra step of actually acting, because Christians, the book says that many Christians are in a perpetual state of preparedness. We're constantly preparing for that thing. We're preparing for it. We're always, I'll go to church 7 days a week, read my Bible every day of the week, do all that I need to do, but I will not act because I'm waiting. We're always waiting. We're always preparing. No, let us go out there. Let's do what needs to be done. And yeah, we know God is with us. He's always with us, encouraging us, strengthening us. So we need to get out there and do the needful. We need to understand that spiritual maturity is not knowledge based. You can't just read the Bible and then expect that you're transformed. Experiences transform us, which is why actions are very, very important. We need to do and do and do again. And that is how we grow into maturity, into spiritual maturity. We also need to understand that we cannot change people. We cannot. It only leads to resentment, especially with our spouses, our family members, our church members. We need to love them, unconditionally, and work on changing ourselves. If we want someone to be more understanding, you be more understanding. If you want someone to talk kindly, be kind. I know you've been kind for a while and you're getting tired. You cannot cajole or manipulate people to do what they don't want to do. It leads to misery. It leads to resentment. They will fake it for a while. It's not what they are inside of them. They need to come to the realization and change for themselves. But In the meantime, you need to work on yourself. Whatever you're asking for, make sure you're giving tenfold of it. Keep giving it. You can't grow tired. You can't grow weary in doing good. And yeah, so that's chapter 5 for us. Then chapter 6, people are predictable. The author mentioned that honestly, people just want to be understood, appreciated, loved, you know, just that's the beginning and end of it all. And once you're able to do that, they warm up to you. They warm up to you. And these are, you're not trying to be manipulative. It is just an essential people skill to understand where people are coming from, really. We can motivate people to influence them, really, to find out what is important to them and then use that to make them better. Just motivate them to figure out what it is they are passionate about, and that will help them to get better, really. And people are just, they're predictable. The bad thing that comes with that is greed is predictable, selfishness predictable, and these are the things that show spiritual immaturity. And then the author also mentioned that we shouldn't now expect them to be mature. Don't just assume everybody is at the same level as you are. You need to be patient with people. They may be more mature than you are. You may be less. It doesn't matter. Once you have that patience, once you have that understanding and love, and don't have too much expectations, which breeds disappointments, and that disappointment will just give unnecessary heartburn and heartache. You just need to give people room for growth, just as you are growing, because you, trust me, you're growing as well. So you cannot be the judge of anyone. Do your own duty is to love that person unconditionally, understand them, affirm them. For the author mentioned, for example, that is where he worked, some contractors had messed up a job, and he'd gone there with a colleague of his, and he just told the lady, I'll handle it. And once he got there, he didn't say, you guys messed this up. What he said, oh, well done, you're doing a good job, how can I be of help? And then those guys now confess to him that, oh, you know what, we even messed up in this area. And we're like, oh, don't worry, you fix it. They opened up because he affirmed them. He didn't criticize them. He didn't put them down. And that is how we're to relate with people. Like I said, you're not manipulating them. It's just how people want to be understood. People want to be appreciated. People want to feel important. You do these things for people and you get good rapport with them. So see you for the next chapters. Hello everybody, so welcome to the review for chapter 7 and 8. The title for chapter 7 is The Law of Sowing and Reaping, and the author mentioned that even in everyday life we've got physical laws that govern the universe, so we've got spiritual laws as well. And the law of sowing and reaping, even in common tongues, people call it karma, and whatever you know, what you give is what you get, karma and all of that. But it's actually in the Bible, the law of sowing and reaping. And really, what is in your garden? What have you planted? The author mentioned that people don't even need to see you plant. But from what is grown on your garden, the plant that comes out from the ground, they can already tell what kind of seeds you sow, you put in the soil, you know. So we need to make sure that we put in quality seed into the soil. And if you want tomatoes, do not put corn seed in the ground. A lot of us do that. Years after year after year, we keep putting the same seeds into the ground, but we want a different result. We want tomatoes, but you're putting corn, maize in the ground. It's you know, it won't happen. It won't work that way. We need to be cognizant of these things and just make sure that we're not having expectations that are just unnecessary, or expectations that don't even make any kind of sense. So what are you sowing? And we should understand that it takes time to reap. Patience is very, very paramount. If you want growth, help someone else grow. You know, it's not easy to be by yourself, and we're not made to be by ourselves. And you can't be selfish. It can't be you. What am I getting out of this? Do things for people and see how it comes back to you in one way or the other. Remember the opportunity tree we talked about in chapter 1? These things come back at the end of the day. Do things without expecting things back. Just genuinely care for people and grow things. Plant things that you know that you want to grow out of it. So the title for chapter 8 is Selfishness is at the root of most problems, and is at the root of most problems really, because we need to understand that when what we are reaping is strife, um, greed, sadness, bitterness, it means you've considered me, and these things lead to disappointment, and that is why you're getting those results. You need to be selfless and understand that you need to contribute your own part into people's growth, and that is how you get your own growth as well. We need to understand also that by doing for others doesn't mean you won't have your own needs being met. You can try to think, oh, if I do for people all the time, who's gonna do for me? Who's gonna help me? People, you will never run out of help once you help other people. We should understand from Proverbs 11:25. It says, "The generous soul, the liberal soul, shall be made rich, and he that waters also shall be watered." You will never get out of resources. You just keep watering, and the day when you need the most, or when you don't even expect, you realize you helped this person 10, 15 years ago, or even last week, things you were not really looking for, and you realize people are actually watching for you because you were instrumental in their own growth as well. And in conclusion, in order to get the kind of effect we want on people, we need to stop thinking about us. You need to think more about other people, and that's how you're able to have a higher degree of influence on them, because they know you genuinely care for them. They know they matter, and so they trust you. And by that, you've grown your network, you've grown your crowd, you trust each other, you help each other, because everybody needs help at the end of the day. So do not be selfish. Make sure your vocabulary is not bombarded with I, me, mine, those kind of words. They don't matter. This is about all of us. We grow together. We are in a community of loving children of God, and we can't do life alone. So please go read the book, and stay tuned for the rest of the reviews by other reviewers. Have a lovely day. God bless you.